So if you're trying to repair a relationship, you're trying to build it back, or even if you're trying to reconcile a relationship, it can be easy to start drifting into this kind of salesy mode, trying to sell the relationship to your partner, saying, we have kids together, we have a house together, we have all of these logical reasons to be together. Why aren't you buying what I'm selling? But when it comes to repairing a relationship, there's actually the wrong way to do it. And that actually falling into the salesman mode can push your partner further and further away. So in this video, I'm going to break down the difference between selling your relationship and branding yourself in order to repair or reconcile a relationship. I'm going to break down the biggest mistakes to avoid in this situation, and I'm also going to talk about the crucial steps to take in order to brand yourself in the right way in order to repair the relationship back stronger than ever. So I want to break down the difference between branding and sales and why it's so crucial when it comes to repairing relationships. Branding is building trust over time. Trust isn't something that you can just sell your way into. It's earned through consistent actions, integrity, and showing up as your best self, even when no one's watching. If you're chasing quick results, if you're trying to shortcut your way through trust, like trying to tell your partner that they need to open up to you, to push your ex-partner into texting you back, if you try and push a lot of these results within the relationship, you're skipping the groundwork. When you're building back trust in a relationship, you shouldn't have to convince your partner that you can be trusted. You need to show your partner that you're worth trusting. And this is a massive difference. If you're in sales mode, if you're constantly trying to repair the relationship rather than build the trust back, then this actually screams desperation. Oftentimes, we can look at ourselves as a complete package and have this idea that we just need to convince our partner that if they just let the relationship happen, then things are going to be great. Things are going to move forward. What this tells your partner is that you actually have a lower worth than they originally thought, because it shows that you need to focus so much on sales that you don't really believe in the product. You need to focus so much on words because the product itself doesn't stand up in its own way. So what is the difference between branding and sales? If you think about branding and sales within the context of a company, branding is building the values, the beliefs, and the inner core of the company that everything else is built on top of. When you know the branding and you're strong in your belief in the branding, everything else around that is built on top of it. So when it comes to sales, it's a lot easier to make a sale to a customer because you already have your deep beliefs ingrained. If you're focusing on building the branding and living your day-to-day true to your values and your beliefs, sales become a lot easier when your branding is already strong because your potential customers already know through your day-to-day actions what you stand for, what you support, what you do day in, day out. They already see that without having to have a conversation. If you're always focused on closing, then you're going to end up spending a lot of time chasing your tail. And think about it yourself. When you've experienced salesy behavior, whether it's from a salesperson, political ads, or constant texting, emotional guilt tripping, or making promises that can't be kept, all of these salesy tactics signals that actually they're not really in control. Whether you're trying to win back an ex-partner or you're trying to repair the relationship with your current partner, you can't demand loyalty. That's not how it works. And the more that you try to do it, you may get some short-term gains, but ultimately long-term, trust will be broken overall. Whereas if you're strong in your beliefs and you're strong in how you want to show up and you are strong in leading and collaborating with your partner, then you earn that trust and you earn that loyalty. Because of course, people are going to be loyal to people who are willing to be flexible, to collaborate and to build this together. And this mindset creates a sustainable path forward, whether or not you are reconciling with a partner or repairing a relationship. But if a relationship is in a tough spot and you're trying to repair it or you're trying to reconcile, there's a lot of mistakes when it comes to this difference between branding and sales that a lot of guys make. When you're in sales mode, you act from a place of scarcity instead of abundance. So when you're desperate to win your partner back, win their trust back, repair the relationship, it's really easy to slip into what we call dichotomous thinking. There's this black and white thinking. Like, if I don't get her back, then I'm never going to be happy again. And this all or nothing black and white mindset blinds you to the bigger picture. You end up obsessing over outcomes instead of focusing on showing up, building your value, and increasing the way that you show up in the relationship. And this leads to over-controlling the situation. So you try to force a resolution, and this is the fastest way to drive your partner further and further away. You're in sales mode and you're trying to force your partner to make a decision. Well, are you going to be in this relationship or not? You start to push ultimatums. You start to get into sales mode because you're so desperate to be like, I either want to make this sale or I want to get out straight away. It shows that you're not willing to invest the time into building your branding, into building your product and who you are. This is what my members and I call the paradox of control. The more that you try to force a resolution, the more that you try to control what your partner does in salesy mode, the less control you have of the whole relationship. The more things slip through your fingers. And this is what a lot of men, sorry guys, mainly men, make the mistake of, is that they try to force their partner into making this decision. You know, you're either going to spend the rest of your life with me or not. Like, shit, I'll get off the pot. I need a decision now. And ultimately what happens is that their partner or their ex-partner goes, okay, I'm out because I don't want to be forced into making this decision. So if your partner or ex-partner is showing hot and cold behaviors, or, you know, sitting on the fence saying, oh, I'm not really sure on whether I want to be in this relationship or not, a lot of guys get into this ego mode, get into this paradox of control and try to force a decision. And ultimately, 99.9% of the time, it backfires because your partner says, if you're going to force me, if you're going to try to control what I do and remove my autonomy, then I'll make that decision. I'm out. Whereas if you're focusing on branding, you're focusing on building yourself and simply leaving the door open to say, hey, I would love to reconcile with you, but the choice is all yours. This shows your partner that you're respecting their autonomy, you're respecting their decision, and ultimately this draws them closer. Now, this doesn't guarantee that they're going to come back to you or that their relationship is going to be repaired, but this is going to increase your chances massively of being able to build back this trust because you're showing your partner, I am not going to do the things that I used to do in the past. So leadership is not about controlling your partner's feelings. It's about controlling your own reactions and creating a space for your partner to come to their own conclusions. Another mistake that could be made is misinterpreting communication as reconciliation. So a lot of people can get into this mindset of, you know, having text messages or back and forth, having conversations, getting coffee, or even your partner saying that they miss you, you know, during a repair, separation, divorce, breakup. This doesn't mean that the relationship is fixed. So don't confuse these moments as wins. They're opportunities to show your partner the consistency of your branding. So focusing again on this branding and showing up in the right ways without forcefully pushing for a resolution, without sort of saying, are we back together or not? Are we going to be together or not? Do you love me or not? Relationships aren't repaired in a single conversation. They're healed over time. And depending on the length of time that you've been together, repair can take 6 months, 12 months, 18 months in order to get to a net zero. So branding is all about standing up for what you believe in, building and growing that. And if you're wanting to repair a relationship, then it means that you need to be consistent in that. Because at the end of the day, if you think about this as your partner, any partner is a potential customer to you as a product, right? If you're asking for someone to invest their time, their effort, and potentially the rest of their life into one other person, to say no to everyone else, if you're wanting a partner to say yes to you, that is a big investment. That is a big investment in time. That is a big investment. That is a big choice. So if you're in sales mode and you're constantly pushing someone to make the biggest investment of their life, then you're going to lose that sale. Think about it this way. Let's say you had $1 million cash to buy a house and someone is constantly phoning you saying, are you going to buy the house yet? Are you going to buy the house yet? And you think you're still on the fence about the house and they're pushing you to make a decision. You know, you've got 15 days, like make a decision, 30 days. This house is going to be off the market. Ultimately, you're going to think to yourself, I can't rush a decision of making $1 million. I need time to see that this house is built on good foundations, that this is going to last me. I need to do my research. I need to see what else is out there because like this is a big decision. This is why it's so crucial to understand that if you're wanting to repair a relationship, you need to focus on the branding. You need to focus on the foundations that you're building this house on. So that leaves the question, how? How do you build your brand within the context of repairing a relationship? And just before I move forward, if you do want more videos like this on repairing, building, and growing healthy relationships, then feel free to subscribe to my channel for new videos every single week. Well, if you follow me for a while, I think you'll know the first step, but I'm going to restate it because it's really crucial. It's a matter of taking ownership of your mistakes, being honest and reflecting inwards as to how this relationship broke down in the first place. But even if you are wanting a new relationship, this step is still crucial. Being able to look at your mistakes and being able to say, this is something that I need to work on, that I need to improve. Leadership within a relationship starts with self-awareness. And this is the hardest part. it's a very comfortable place to sit there and say to yourself, I just need to find someone who's right for me. The truth is that unless you find a clone of yourself that you are sexually attracted to, it's going to be impossible. The truth is that there is not one person out there, despite Hollywood, despite maybe religious texts, there's not this one person out there that is going to be your soulmate, everything is going to be perfect. If you are going to have a relationship, you're going to have a relationship with someone who has differences. So you need to figure out where you fall short in terms of accepting and growing within these differences. So being able to look back at previous relationships and admit where you screwed up, not in a groveling way or a feeling bad about yourself way, but with confidence, saying to yourself, I see where I fell short, and here's what I'm going to do in order to make sure that I'm growing from this. This in itself shows maturity. This in itself is building your branding, being able to say, hey, I'm not so stuck in my ways that I am blind to my own weaknesses. This is what I do with my Ultranormal members, is start to deconstruct how that they've been living their lives and how to show up more authentically and as better versions of themselves, incomplete, but still growing. And this is a really crucial balance to find, but it's important to find it, to be able to marry the two things of knowing that you have flaws, but also having the process in order to grow in that same direction. And if you do want to join the members and I, then join my relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same steps and tools that all my members use to start turning their relationships around. Just click on the link in the description to grab your free spot today. So if you're in this habit of shifting blame or trying to justify your actions, that's weak. That's a weak brand. Having someone who's constantly playing the victim, constantly pointing fingers outside of themselves, that's a very weak brand. I would not buy that brand. If a brand was constantly unable to take ownership of their mistakes in the past, I wouldn't want to buy that. I definitely wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life with that brand. So it's really important that you've got to own your shit. Growth isn't about perfection. It's about progressing yourself, proving that you're making progress, not through telling, not through sales, but through action. Showing that you are constantly looking at your product and saying, what can I do to make this better? So that is building the next step, which is focusing on consistency, not big gestures. So forget Hail Mary moves like flowers, big apologies, over-the-top romantic surprises. I've just paid 10 grand for a vacation for us. It might feel powerful, but ultimately this is another sales tactic. This is one of those, emails that you get saying 90% off for Black Friday. It's not powerful, really. It actually kind of cheapens things. So these big moves don't get to the root of the problem. And ultimately, even if they do work, even if they start to repair the relationship in a small way, it's not going to get to the root of the problem, and the relationship is still going to be very, very weak. So these moves feel powerful, but they don't matter if you are inconsistent with your small behavior day after day. Small, steady actions consistently is what relationships are built on, and these are what matters. And trust is built in the small moments, not in the grand gestures. This shows emotional maturity and that you're living by your values, and these are your best tools. So the biggest step of all is become someone worth reconciling with. This is the ultimate power move. Rather than sitting there blaming or playing the victim or feeling sorry for yourself or getting all pent up and that your partner is, drifting away from you or they've walked away from you completely at the moment, the best move that you can make is growing yourself to such a level that you are worth reconciling with, that you are undeniably the best option that you can be right now. You focus on yourself. You work on your confidence, your emotional intelligence, your communication skills, your life goals, building your brand. Over time, your partner will see that value. They may resist it at first, and this is what we call expectancy bias, which I'll link to on the screen. It's really crucial to understand how expectancy bias works. But despite the initial resistance to the new you, when your partner sees that you're thriving and that you are growing and overcoming these challenges that you personally face without relying on your partner's approval, then you start to shift that dynamic. You're no longer chasing your partner, you're building your brand, and a brand that's so compelling that your partner will be drawn to you naturally. So understanding why this resistance will happen as you start to change is really crucial. So I'm going to leave you with that video on expectancy bias, and I will see you over there.